3 years ago today, a silence fell over the United Kingdom. The passing of Queen Elizabeth II marked the end of an era, the closing of a 70-year chapter in the world's history. And as King Charles III shares a poignant, personal tribute to his late mother, another, far more complex story comes into focus. It is the story of a lifelong battle fought within the palace walls, a battle between a passionate, activist prince and his cautious, constitutionally bound queen. And at the heart of it, a stark forward warning that defines his reign today. This is Royal Herald, and today we deliver a special report on the Queen's secret warning to Charles and the forbidden letters that threaten to destabilize the crown. Before we uncover the details of this decades-long conflict, we ask for a moment of your time. To support our mission of delivering these in-depth reports, please subscribe to Royal Herald, give this video a thumbs up, and activate the notification bell. Your engagement allows us to continue our work. The official tribute from the king was a model of regal restraint, remembering Queen Elizabeth II, a simple caption for a cherished photograph. It was a message of a grieving son, but the legacy of his mother is more than just personal memory. It is a constitutional blueprint for how a monarch should behave. Queen Elizabeth's reign was a masterclass in neutrality. For 70 years she remained impeccably, almost unnaturally, above the political fray. This wasn't just a personal choice. It was the core of her strategy for the monarchy's survival in the modern age. It is a legacy that now casts a long and complicated shadow over her son, a man who for 50 years was anything but neutral. This pattern of choosing personal conviction over royal protocol is not new. We must look back to the infamous 1994 interview with Jonathan Dimbleby. In a move that sent shockwaves through the establishment, the then Prince of Wales sat for a televised confession, a deeply personal interview where he publicly admitted to his affair with Camilla Parker Bowles. For the heir to the throne to discuss his own marital infidelity on national television was an unprecedented breach of the royal family's code of silence. It was the first clear sign that Charles was willing to use the media to tell his own story, even if it caused immense damage to the institution. The Queen was reportedly devastated, not just by the personal admission, but by the strategic blunder of turning a private tragedy into a public spectacle. It was a lesson in what not to do, a lesson his mother never forgot, and a playbook his own son, Prince Harry, would later follow to devastating effect. Alongside these public confessions, Charles's private activism was in full swing. His lifelong passion for environmentalism was not a hobby. It was a crusade. He used his position to convene experts and tirelessly advocate for change. But his methods often crossed a sacred line. In his desire to influence policy, Charles wrote the infamous Black Spider memos, lobbying for his positions on everything from the supply of equipment to troops in Iraq to the design of new hospitals. But his activism went far beyond letters. For decades he built a sprawling empire of influence, a parallel court that operated outside the normal constraints of the monarchy. The most powerful tool in this empire was the Prince's Trust. Founded in 1976 with his severance pay from the Navy, it grew into a multi-million-pound charity, a titan in the non-profit sector that has helped over 1 million disadvantaged young people. While its work is undeniably noble, its scale gave the Prince of Wales an unprecedented independent power base. With its own CEO, a massive fundraising apparatus, and a powerful voice on youth unemployment and education policy, the Prince's Trust effectively acted as a government department in waiting, an operational arm of a shadow king. This level of influence and operational control for an heir was unheard of, and it deeply worried traditionalists. Inside the palace, this activism caused profound unease at the very top. The explosive book Courtiers by Valentine Lowe reveals the true extent of the conflict. One former royal aide admitted that palace staff would get exercised about the prince getting a bit ahead of the skis. This phrase perfectly captures the issue. Charles was seen as reckless, risking the stability of the entire institution for the sake of his personal causes. The Queen, with her decades of experience, saw the immense danger. She understood that even a well-intentioned intervention could be seen as political interference, dragging the crown into a partisan mudfight from which it could never cleanly escape. The criticism wasn't just from nervous courtiers, it came from within his own family. According to Lowe's book, even his own siblings, Princess Anne and Prince Andrew, privately felt his single-minded enthusiasm was naive. They believed that while his intentions were good, he fundamentally misunderstood the political game. It's crucial to also understand Charles's own defense of his actions. He never saw his interventions as political meddling. He argued that to stand by and do nothing would be a dereliction of duty. He saw himself as a conduit, a powerful advocate for the voiceless. Was it constitutional? Perhaps not in the strictest sense. But in his mind it was a moral imperative, a price he was willing to pay for what he believed was the greater good. But the most damning revelation, the one that truly defines this entire conflict, comes from a senior palace source who summarized the Queen's ultimate position on her son's letter writing. It wasn't a debate. It wasn't a suggestion. It was an order delivered with the stark clarity only a monarch can possess. Just don't do it. For words. A verbal red line drawn by a sovereign to her heir. For Queen Elizabeth, the apolitical nature of the crown was a sacred vow, and in her eyes, Charles was dangerously close to breaking it. Her command was a desperate attempt to protect the institution from its greatest internal threat, the passionate convictions of its own future king. This history is essential to understanding the man who ascended the throne 3 years ago today. He is a man who spent his entire life pushing the boundaries, only to inherit the very role that forbids it. This lifelong pattern of activism now casts a fascinating light on the current royal civil war. In many ways, Prince Harry is simply a modernized, more extreme version of his own father. The desire to speak his truth, to launch his own foundations, to engage directly with the media, and to challenge the institution from the inside. All of these tactics were pioneered in a quieter way by Charles himself for decades. This raises a difficult question for the monarchy. How can it condemn Harry for breaking protocol when its own king wrote the playbook? This very history is said to be a major point of contention with Prince William, who has deliberately built his own royal identity as a direct rejection of his father's chaotic and emotional public style. William is the ultimate institutionalist, believing that the monarchy's survival depends on the very discipline and neutrality his father so often disdained. The core dilemma of the modern monarchy is now playing out within the king's own soul. In an age of social media, the public demands authenticity. Charles was, in many ways, ahead of his time, pioneering the passionate royal. Yet, the institution he now leads requires the exact opposite, a suppression of personal opinion in favor of symbolic neutrality. As he publicly remembers his mother, he is privately grappling with her legacy. The battle he once fought with government ministers and his own family has now become an internal one. The voice of Charles the activist versus the ghost of Queen Elizabeth, whispering that simple, powerful command, just don't do it. And now we turn to you. Do you believe King Charles's past activism was a brave and necessary crusade? Or did he risk damaging the monarchy's neutrality? And how do you think he is handling that internal conflict as king today? Share your insights and opinions in the comments section below. Your perspectives truly enrich our discussions. And if you appreciate this in-depth royal analysis, please like this video, subscribe to our channel for more royal updates, and join us next time as we continue to explore the captivating world of the British royal family. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you again.